Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. We have a postmortem on CrowdStrike up on the screen.
Yes.
We heard a little bit about this already. Has anything
we did,
changed since
didn't
the
we?
last time we talked about this?
Yeah, so this is the PDF of the what's called the technical root cause analysis for the channel file 291 for the CrowdStrike. A few computers went down a couple weeks ago. You may have heard of it. Incidentally, there's approximately 1% of those computers impacted that are still down. So 99% have been resolved. A lot of, shout out to the IT and sysops folks out there. They did a Herculean effort getting all the Coke machines and airport displays and everything else that was bombed out, the Times Square, all the other computers that went down. But no, but seriously, so this is a technical breakdown of what occurred for this incident. Now, I don't expect anyone to read the whole thing. In fact, if you do read the whole thing, it's quite boring. There's a lot of capitalized first letter name things like the content validator and the response template type and all sorts of things like this. Essentially, it came down to
please
this.
Tell me how a 12-page document explaining a null reference exception could be boring.
It's not a roll. It's a little bit more nuanced than this, and you're going to love it. So They have inside their configuration. This is the gist of what I got. Inside the configuration file, there is an input parameter for, there is an input for this configuration file, which is read that expects. Now I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. It's either 20 parameters or 21 parameters, and they use a regex expression as part of that processing.
Oh boy.
And so it's sort of like they use regex in the context of kernel code. Like regex and kernel code is. What are you doing?
I'm doing some telestrating while you talk. So we have a config file.
Yes, it goes through a validator. A validator then hands it off over to the agent. I think this is very bad analysis of this, but essentially it came down to a regex expression that was assumed to be there. There was a wildcard that was there that was then removed, I think was the gist of it. And so essentially what happened was there was a regex expression that failed, or its value was changed as a result of this. And because of all of that, there was a null reference that was, there was a reference to a parameter that was null. It read outside the array bounds. So it came in as a 20 parameter, I believe, an array into this function. It then looked outside the bounds of that array. There was no runtime check on that array. There was no length of check, at least from what I can gather. This is all allegedly through this doc. I'm trying to read this doc earlier today, and I didn't get it all. But no runtime check analysis. There was no. All you needed was an if statement that says if the length of the array exceeds a certain value. I watched the analysis by various folks out there on YouTube. I know that everyone loves to dunk on this, but essentially that's what it came down to. There was a broken test somewhere, and it came down to the fact that there was a regex missing, or that a regex was invalidated by a change. I don't know what you're drawing. That looks like California. I don't know what's going on here. So that's a plane.
There. Did that work?
Yeah. All right. It's like charades now. Anyways.
Yeah.
People who join the stream right now are like, what in God's name is going on? So if you're at all interested as to why, the world went down 2 weeks ago, this is the technical explainer from CrowdStrike around what happened.
So there's a config file that had a bad validation that used regex, and there was an array that was null that they didn't check, and this caused Delta's stock to plummet.
Oh. Well, okay. I don't know. I mean, like I went through this very quickly. I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube. This is the gist of kind of sort of what happened. And if you read the PDF, you'll see it there.
There we go. We forgot the blue screen at death.
This is the part, yes. So
it makes sense. It makes total sense.
Oh yeah. Like again, everyone loves dunking on CrowdStrike because it's whatever, but I think when people realize like the world is, this is how software, like everyone in software know, like you and I know this, like, oh, we're missing an if statement, and oh yeah, easy fix, you know. Um, but when people hear this and they don't realize like how small of a change this was to cause, like, what was it, 8.5 million PCs to blue screen and not come back. Yeah, of course they blame Microsoft. Then I can understand from the outside looking in, they're like, wow, you guys, like, it must have been this huge thing that happened. Like, no, we just forgot to do a runtime check on an array. So or regex became invalid. So yeah. Programming is it's interesting. Programming is an interesting space. So there you go.
Yeah.
You can do this in, by the way, there's a lot of talk about, Microsoft moving to Rust in the kernel and how they're going to try and promote that. You can certainly shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, this is obviously based in C. You can certainly shoot yourself in the foot with Rust. You can certainly go out and Rust isn't going to save you from bad code. It's very type safe, but there's things that you can do to footgun. There are footguns in Rust as well. So
yeah, the compiler is supposed to help you in Rust with a lot of
but
footgun situations.
Well, I don't know how a compiler can help if you choose not to do runtime validation check on.
Oh yeah, you have to ignore the warning, but
well, even then, like if you choose to, if it's syntactically correct to go outside the bounds of an array that's only known at runtime, how can a compiler help? It can't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess it's not a null reference exception if it's an empty array.
If it's configured as well, it depends on what it does.
It's out of bounds.
So it depends.
Yeah.
It's still an exception that will get raised, and if it's not caught, blue screen, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why blue screens happen is because we don't want to. The reason why you might wonder, like, why doesn't Microsoft try and mitigate against this? Like, why do blue screens happen? They happen because they're trying to protect your data. If you have kernel code that's randomly addressing access points in your memory space, you can do very bad things. And there's also the concept of protected memory as well. So there's all kinds of OSE stuff that gets involved. So there's a reason why, as soon as an exception like this occurs, blue screen, immediately halt. So, and this isn't just Microsoft. This happens on Mac. This happens on variants of Linux, Unix. Happens everywhere.
Yeah, there was a headline I bypassed on this that said the gist of it was that Microsoft reached out to Delta to try to help them, and they were like, we don't want your help. But I didn't read into it. I was just kind of, I had my fill of the whole situation, so I was kind of like, yeah, CrowdStrike, Delta, I don't know anymore. I don't know what the truth is there, but apparently Delta might have thwarted their own help.
So I have to reiterate this. I know it's fun to dunk on CrowdStrike, and that's not the intent here. It's just to share with you this document that was posted, and to, it happens. It happens. I mean, that's certainly, they need to improve their processes around deployments, and I don't know why they don't do canary and rolling deployments and things like that, but we live and learn.
So on to some architecture and DevTools release news. I caught this one, Tauri 2.0. Is that, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but
Tauri is how I would think. Yeah, like Taurus.
So
Tauri.
This is release 2.0. This is the first time I've ever heard of it. Doesn't mean that it's not a well-known thing. It's just first time I've ever caught it. Okay. So from what I read through on this, it is akin to .NET MAUI.
Oh.
Or Flutter, but it's written on Rust, and then it is front-end agnostic. So it's basically a native shell written in Rust, and then there is a web server internal to the app. So you could think of it as Electron as well, like that sort of thing, right? But you pick your front end, and you can pick your middleware as well. So it could be it could be Rust, it could be Node, it could be .NET, it could be these many different things, and
Right.
there's kind of layers to it. I thought it was interesting. So there's like a front end configuration. You can use these are all different JavaScript frameworks that you can pick from. So you could use like Next.js or something like that.
So
And
it
then
sounds to me like it's a hardened, tiny, fast platform for building desktop and mobile applications.
yes,
And
yeah.
so I would
So
assume that they're supporting like a front end framework like web dev, etc. So your HTMLs, your JavaScripts, your CSSs, and then
mhm.
you can underpin that using a variety of languages. I would assume like
Yes, correct.
Kotlin or Swift or Rust. So it's the same sort of
Yeah.
model by the sounds of it, like Maui. I guess that's why they call it Tauri, right? Maui, Tauri. So
Yeah. So the system, their framework, it uses Rust to make calls to the underlying OS, and then you get your kind of plug-in ecosystem underneath.
okay.
Um, then let's see, we've got. I was trying to find it. There was a list of backends that you could use. All the documentation's here on their website. It's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
interesting though. So you had, your various front ends, and then, a lot of it's Rust based. So, how to
Right.
make calls to the front end using Rust. You pass up things to the web view. So it's basically using web views, just like those other technologies I mentioned.
Sure. Sure. Yep.
So you've got the security of Rust, the speed of Rust on the back end. You can use the other web server technologies in the middle, like Node.js. There was a list of supported ones in here.
Right.
Maybe it was under plugins.
Well, I think they
Nope,
have it in a
that's not
plugin
it. That's
model,
all.
if I remember correctly. There is a plugin model
Yeah,
for this.
yeah, the plugins are all like normalized OS calls. It looks like, which is kind of what .NET MAUI does as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's mobile development, process model. Maybe it was under process model. This is very similar to Electron, by the way. If you ever
Yes.
looked at the
Yes.
Electron,
Or
you basically
Flutter,
have
or maybe
communication
your
channels
yes.
that talk to web views. So very, you know, new technology, but based on uh, similar concepts we've seen before. So I thought that was interesting. They're on their second release, so you can check this out if it's something you're interested in. I could see somebody doing React maybe and wanting to put a front end on a React application and run it natively on like a mobile OS or something with Rust on the back end. That sounds like a pretty powerful combo. So very cool stuff.
Nice.
Under releases, we have Dart 3.5. Not a Dart developer myself, but I know I've used some things that are built on Dart, like the SAS compiler is built on Dart.
Mm-hmm.
SAS compiler is super handy. So Dart 3.5 has web platform and JS interoperability. So this is supporting Flutter. We talked about those kind of full stack native apps with the last framework we were talking about, but Flutter's another one, and I guess this is to support Flutter. Native interoperability with making calls to other libraries outside of Dart, so C#, Java, Kotlin, Objective-C, and Swift. So it looks like Dart's being able to communicate with other systems and frameworks out there natively now. So you've got
they have a new I think it's JOS operability model that they support, and so they're utilizing this. This was introduced in the last version, I think 3.4, where they introduced support for compiling Flutter web apps to WebAssembly.
Yeah.
And so there's this new Dart to JS interop model that they have, and that's facilitated in a sense by that. So interesting innovations there. And so when we talk about what's new in 3.5, that is certainly up there. There's also, I think, other interoperability capabilities as well. But you know, they're certainly forging ahead, which is great to see.
Yeah, so it looks like you can kind of merge this with your favorite libraries. These things are really handy. We talked about this with the .NET Maui folks on the .NET on .NET Live
Right.
show.
Yeah.
They have this capability in .NET Maui now, this native interoperability mode.
Yes.
And what this means is if you're doing like a mobile app and you want to tap into Apple's like ARKit or something like that, and
This is
there's no
JDirect or pinvoke, so
yeah, there's no library
yeah.
for it, but you want to interrupt with that stuff, you can do it through these interoperability models,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is really awesome because it extends those
J
frameworks out and
JDirect was the
beyond.
best name for a technology, I thought.
I picked this article for you, and you may have shared this with me at some point. So if you
Okay.
did, just let me know.
Sure.
But I'm sharing it again if we did cover this already.
I haven't
Uh,
seen this.
no, I thought you would be fascinated with this, and so would the audience. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's pretty
Okay.
lengthy though, so we can kind of paraphrase what's going on. But today I learned that Facebook has satellites. I don't know if you knew that,
No.
but Facebook has satellites.
Awesome.
So when we're talking about some serious architecture, Facebook has some serious architecture, dude. So this talks about how they keep their time service accurate at scale, and satellites are involved. So there's
Okay.
actually a nice diagram of it here of the infrastructure. So they've got their satellite network. So they have like they bought a company in 2008, I think it was,
Okay.
that had that kind of is. I don't know if it's comparable to Starlink, but you could put them in the same ballpark of like solving a problem, right?
Right.
It's a network, satellite-based internet network. So they bought a company, and this may be part of that system that they bought. So they have these satellites that keep their network in sync, and then they have those devices, their appliances, basically talking to the satellites, and there's measurements taken to pick up delays in time and things like that, and
I
keep
like it.
sync with the time
It's a tough
systems.
it's a tough problem. I mean, like,
Hmm.
when the further away you get from the Earth, time speeds up. There's a difference between satellite time and time here on Earth. So the closer you get to, gravity wells, for example, time will slow down. We all saw Interstellar, and keeping time in sync is always a challenge. So I didn't know why they'd have to build their own NTP service. That's interesting to me. I thought they just would have leveraged whatever. But the question around time and timestamps is very important, especially when you consider messages.
Yeah.
So Facebook is a very when you consider Messenger, etc. It's very time dependent. Uh, the order of which things happen is very important. That's just a practical user aspect of it, let alone all the other stuff. But yeah, I didn't realize that they were working on this. That's interesting.
Yeah, you know, I started reading some of this and immediately felt that what's it called? Um, where you are in over your head,
Okay.
basically.
That's
Imposter
basically when the left
syndrome.
side of my brain looks at the right side of the
Yeah.
brain and says, "I'm going to take a nap."
I had serious imposter syndrome because I'm gonna pull up because this was fun earlier. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. I'm gonna pull up the good old Telestrator thing again.
Nice.
So like, you know, I'm thinking I'm here, and I'm like, okay, I'm a software engineer, right? And then I start, thinking about the things that I do. I'm like, building UIs.
Right.
I make web applications, and then I look and I'm reading this article and I'm like, oh, they're keeping time in sync and they're using
Yes.
satellites. And
Yes.
there's like this whole bar that I wasn't even aware of up here. And I'm like, okay, um, that's not me anymore. I'm like tinkerer.
Nice. Tinkerer.
I think I'm changing my job title just now. I feel like I'm down here somewhere.
Oh, I've always been down there.
It's like, yeah, those things you do with the internet are cute, but this is real engineering up here with the satellites and whatnot.
My contributions will be worshipped by by civilizations many, many years from now.
I promptly deleted
on Windows Phone 7, for example.
I promptly deleted my GitHub.
Sit there and study. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, I nuked my GitHub after reading this. But yeah, it goes into depth on all of this too.
I like it.
It's totally over my pay grade, and but it was very, like, this is not my workstation.
Yeah, that's such a shop picture. They got the computers resting on top of a toolbox. Awesome.
Yeah, this is a cool read. I will share that. It is going to be on my LinkedIn.
Make a contact reference like Vega or something like that. That would have been neat.
Yeah. This was neat, but they're working with atomic clocks and stuff, and this is more my zone here. The developer survey from Stack Overflow.
Yes.
Could you imagine like being the having a question on this and being like, okay, Stack Overflow, I'm working on a satellite that is synchronizing time across the Earth.
Do you like if statements? Yes.
I've got this JSON response. Can anybody help me troubleshoot?
Yeah, so bad. So the Stack Overflow survey has been done for many, many years. The 2024 developer survey is out. So over 65,000 developers responded to the survey. And of course, some interesting findings there. Nothing too out of the ordinary. So, what you would expect, things like what impact is AI having on your day-to-day job? What is your favorite programming language? These and other types of questions are being asked right now. So a lot of folks are using ChatGPT. 75%, for example, were listed as admired for its use, whereas they're using other tools as well. If you take a look at what's out there, there's a whole host of technologies out there. But no surprise, some of the major winners are JavaScript still commands a lot of attention. Python, SQL, still cranking out, databases, etc. Rust continues to be the most admired programming language of all of them, which is not surprising. Interestingly enough,
or did you parse through this already?
I already looked through it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You're way, way ahead of me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, sadly, maybe not sadly, but there are a couple of tools listed there that I don't like to use so much, and they are still listed as some of the most used tools by developers. I won't name them, but those who know, I guess. But you can go through this survey, take a look at what's there. Wasn't too many surprising things that came out of this. Erlang developers are the top breadwinners of all developers. So
this is actually surprising me right now.
What's that?
So I've seen this before. I want to go back and look at other years. Like, do you remember the degree section being so high? Like this
yeah.
Was it always that high? It's a 66.60.
Yeah. It's been a while for a while.
All right. There's a conspiracy to be had. You add these up, John. What do you get?
Oh, come on. They're not mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive. You can have one at the same time as another.
Just all conspiracies start with like adding numbers together.
Get it over with. Draw the pyramid with the eye in the middle. Just get it over with. Ed, you might as well jump in with both feet. Come on.
So here's the deal, John.
Look how it forms a pyramid. If you turn it to its side, it's a pyramid.
We need the red strings of to pinboard.
Yeah.
We've got. If we add up the degree seeking folks of this. Then we've got 666.
Confirmed Illuminati, yes. We've confirmed it. Yes.
We've confirmed that software runs the planet, and therefore the conspiracies are true.
Yes. Just jump in, Ed. Come on. I want to see you on the next one with a tinfoil hat on. Let's just do that for our next one. We'll get the AR, VR goggles on. We'll just go whole hog.
All right. I've jumped the shark today.
It's
been a long week, if you can't tell.
I know. I know. So the whole gist of this is basically to make other developers feel better. Because, typically we're treated like mushrooms. We're kept in the dark and they feed us, but you know what I was going to say. But basically, a lot of developers don't, often know what are my compatriots doing in company XYZ. So these surveys are great because they help you feel better. What I mean by that is, it's not just me. I'm, the vast majority of people are still cranking out T-SQL. So don't feel bad. Yes, the vast majority of people here are aspiring to use AI, but are not using it day to day, for example. Those are not in the report, but that's what I mean by that is that a lot of us suffer from imposter syndrome because there's no real textbook on how to do a lot of this stuff. So we kind of make it up as we go. And as a result, we feel bad when we try and come up with novel or new ways of doing things. What this says is that, you're one of many people out there, so don't feel so bad.
This one's interesting. So this is years of professional experience by developer type.
Yes.
So you can kind of see the progression of roles in here a little bit.
Yes.
Student at the bottom, and then you'd think there'd be
Grandmaster.
Kind of a different median here, but you've got senior executive with the longest. I guess this is the number of years. So 17 years, 15 years, you're a manager or developer advocate or program manager. I'd love to see the breakdown of respondents for these because I'm curious to see how many developer advocate roles are actually out there.
I think the data is publicly accessible, so you'd be able to go into it.
Have to figure that one out, dig in and see.
My favorite is the number of people who have lied on their applications, stating how much experience they have with a technology that's just shipped. So,
and then
I have 10 years of .NET 9 experience, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what recruiters are looking for, by the way.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They're hitting me up on LinkedIn. Full stack devs, yes. As much as people like to say they're unicorns and don't exist, they are a majority of developer type answering this.
That's the only type of developer I know. We do everything,
I know. I don't get that. I won't get into it. It's a whole show, I think. It's a rant, it's a show.
Are you kidding me?
This is a tweet. I see this tweet all the time.
Wait. Development is this. You know that guy who stands on a street corner with the drum on his back and the cymbal between his legs? That's development. That's what developers do. And, they have to wear multiple hats, multiple roles. So you're not just a X or Y developer.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it because I don't want to disparage any one persona.
Why not?
Because I always see it from a certain ecosystem of development that
everyone is a full stack developer.
That does not exist, and
everyone is a full stack developer.
Yeah, I always just cringe when I see that. Demographics. Let's see. Let's get on to tech. You talked a little bit about it.
Yes.
You gave me the top level.
Shout out to the Rust developers out there, Rustafarians.
I like to see HTML and CSS as a programming language.
A very solid. Well, HTMX you could argue, but
yeah. But the CSS definitely.
Yes.
It's getting if statements, so that'll be the final nail.
Hey, slow down there.
Yeah, it's
so
we have variables. Okay, CSS has variables now.
Hey.
It's getting if statements. It has maps. What else do you want to qualify it as a programming language? The few of you that want to argue on that hill that nobody cares that you've taken. Anyway, Python up there. That's that's kind of a given with all the machine learning going on.
Yep.
Postgres, way more popular than I knew. Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, MS SQL Server, MongoDB, Redis.
It's a long
cloud platforms, AWS.
Yes.
Beating out Microsoft. I wonder how there's always little threads that you could pull at with statistics. And I'm just kind of wondering what the respondent audience is. You look at some of the other things like Postgres ranking up high, JavaScript ranking up high. So you got a lot of JavaScript developers. What's powered by Postgres? Are there any popular
everything?
Like certain stacks though that like it's a non-Microsoft thing because we got Microsoft SQL Server here. So you wonder if these skew a little bit. So we get AWS
For sure.
like clearly
sure.
doubling Amazon Web Services, but that's probably not the market share as a whole. It's just this survey. So that's interesting. Node.js, React, again. Let's see, ASP.NET Core, it's just 16%. .NET up at the top, though, under other. .NET Framework, two separate things. RabbitMQ, these are some interesting libraries.
Yep.
Docker, NPM. A lot of people using that stuff. VS Code just dominating.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of these, of course, are, they're very memeable, right? So AWS is an awesome platform, don't get me wrong, but it reminds me of that joke I saw recently where there's a genie and an SRE, and the genie's like, I'll give you $1 billion if you can spend 1 million in a month. There are 3 rules: no gifting, no gambling, no throwing it away. And the SRE responds, can I use AWS? And the genie's like, there are 4 rules. So
I love this breakdown. I like that they added this. So check this out. All respondents, all right, Microsoft Teams. Professional developers, what work makes me use? Microsoft Teams. Learning to code, what I choose to use? Discord. Discord, just like if you're learning to code and you're not on Discord,
yes,
then you need to find out where the Discord server is that these folks are hanging out.
Yes.
That's very interesting to me. So it looks like I would like to find out what they're talking about on Discord because I like the teaching aspect of what we do.
It's for the memes.
Yeah. And I'm good at memes too, so that would be a great place for me to find and hang out. So I have to find the Discords where everybody's learning so I can add resources. AI search and dev tools. Everybody's using ChatGPT, which is powering the rest of these. Oh, I've got, let's see if I could find it without sharing my other screen here. Hang on. I got a meme. Speaking of memes, I made one that you're going to like.
Okay. Remains to be seen.
Oh,
wow.
There we go.
That's right.
This is the AI landscape, folks.
What else do you have? Yes, we got nothing. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, guys. It's all the same thing. It's all ChatGPT and OpenAI under the surface. So these you can roll most of these up unless they're Meta AI or whatever the Google one's called. All right, we dug into this quite a bit. We could probably do some more of this next week, maybe.
Sure.
Before we run out of time here. Let's see. This is just kind of cool. I thought I'd share it. Creating a Fallout style UI using modern CSS.
I like it.
So somebody recreated this. It's very cool, and it has step-by-step.
Is there a page hosted somewhere we can take a look at?
I would love to see that. Let's see. So,
if you go to the repo, you might be able to go to their GitHub page.
They have some nice
wow,
screenshots in here. They've got like a CRT effect.
Nice.
I do not see it.
All right, never mind.
But it looked really cool, so
I like it.
I thought I'd share that. This is a good resource, I think. I've seen this a million times for .NET and not as often in the JavaScript world. So when I saw it in JavaScript land, I thought I would share it with everyone. This is JavaScript Design Pattern Guide. So there's some really great sites for .NET, and there's even one I was looking at the other day that was agnostic, and it had like all of the design patterns, and then it had multiple languages you could click on and see examples.
Right.
That was really cool.
Yep.
But it did not have JavaScript in that website. So this is the JavaScript version of it, and you've got, you know, your creational design patterns, factory and builder, structural, adapter, decorator, chain of responsibility and strategy.
So it's just basically
behavior.
JavaScript, the good parts.
Is that what's in JavaScript, the good parts? I have not actually.
No.
read
It's
that.
the book. Remember, there's
I know
there's
that,
the O'Reilly combine. Yeah,
Yeah, it's by
the definitive guide, and there's
Crockford.
JavaScript, the good parts. Yes.
Yeah. So this has examples of what those do and explanations of when and why to use them.
Just
so
use
it's
TypeScript.
a good
Just
a good
use
resource.
TypeScript, please.
I don't know. Depends on the size and
Just use
scale
TypeScript.
of the code. So if I'm writing a small plugin, that's only going to be 50 lines of JavaScript that goes into a bigger system, and you're not going to go into that module and break down, do any, it's not rolling up into the larger code base. Do I really need to write that in TypeScript?
I'm just going to write my assembly. I don't need to use a C because I know how to write assembly and move registers around. Well, do I really need to use C?
It's not quite the same.
Yes,
so,
it is. Come on.
So say I'm writing a component for a Blazor application, and that component has JavaScript interrupt, capabilities, and there's like 10 lines of JavaScript I need to run. Do I adopt all of TypeScript in a TypeScript build system that has to get passed off to the larger system as a whole just to do what? Type safety on the 10 lines of code that I wrote to ask the geolocation service where this person's located? No.
Yes.
Nope, not doing it. I'm not adopting the TS compiler just for 10 lines of code. Not happening.
You never ship 10 lines
SAS.
of code.
I love SAS. I'm dropping SAS.
You never ship 10 lines of code. What are we talking about here?
What
projects do you work on?
Tools that I have. If I have to add a build tool to do X thing, I better have a lot of building to do with that thing. So I've got some Blazor stuff that I've written that it's like, no, I'm not bringing TypeScript into the equation for these 10 lines of JavaScript. It's just not happening.
Yeah, but that's a demo. That's a toy. It's not real code.
No, I have real stuff on like actual utilities that are plugins for Blazor and stuff.
Are you creating an NTP service as well? Sorry.
I'm building the next CrowdStrike.
Hey.
This is up on the dev blogs for Microsoft, is adding .NET Aspire. I said Expire. That's not good. Adding .NET Aspire to your existing .NET apps by John Galloway. So you already have an app and you want to add Aspire to it. So this goes through the steps on adding it and why you might want to add it and all of that. Good read. Which brings me to the next one, which is Visual Studio Magazine. This is a question-answer article about integrating Blazor apps with existing web apps. So if you have a Blazor app an existing .NET web app, like an MVC core application, something like that, you want to add Blazor to it, there's a event coming up called Visual Studio Live Orlando or Converge 360. And I'm going to be talking about that at the event. So this is a question answer with myself. So I was given these questions about how this whole integration works. So you have your existing .NET Core web app, or .NET web app, could be web forms, whatever. You add Blazor to it, then circle back to Aspire, this article. You now take that and add Aspire to it. So I thought that was a good like peanut butter and jelly combination of articles. I put those together.
Or nuts and gum, potentially. You got to be careful about putting these technologies together.
And then some shameless plugs before we go. We had a huge
Okay.
release cycle this week at Progress. We have several new products, lots of updates. I'm just going to go through the new stuff, like the brand new shiny squirrel. I'm going to go chase after that cool new thing. Chef Courier.
Yes.
So this is a configuration management set of utilities built for Chef. I'm not the DevOps person. I just know that this is the new hotness from the Chef side of things. So if you're into DevOps, you might want to check out that. Along with that, there is this. This is in my wheelhouse, and I could explain it in depth, but we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll give you the gist of it. Say you want to build a web app, and you don't have a designer on your team, or you want to give your designers an easy path.
Sure.
You can adopt into one of our page templates that we just released.
Yep.
So we've got the marketing templates here. We've got 4 of those. We've got the listing type of things like real estate or catalog or like your Amazon.coms of the world. And then we have the dashboard templates. And these are not mutually exclusive. You might have a landing page that is very fancy that goes on top of your dashboard and so on.
Yes.
So we've got these really nice templates that you can start with. All of the code is included in those,
I like it.
and they are atomic. So if you dig in further, you've got all of these building blocks that go into said pages. So if we looked at dashboard, we've got like compact cards. You can dive into all of the cards that may be in or added to that application. And
Are you guys using Storyblock for that?
I don't know how we built the marketing page.
Yeah, it's
or
an
the
embedded
docs
object
page.
there. I'm just wondering what you guys used for that. It looks like storyboard. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get a preview of it here. If you click on code, it'll say this.
Nice.
So I need to log in properly to do that.
And now we get to see your creds. All right, everyone, remember, get ready to hit print screen.
Everybody already knows my email address. Let's see if Cloudflare... Oh, it let me in this time. Cloudflare thought I was a bot all week, and I couldn't get in. So the cool thing about this is I can come in here and hit, give me the code, and now I've got Angular code, or Blazor code, or React code, and that code is using our Telerik UI components, or our Angular UI components, or React, Kendo React components. So these are built with all of our componentry, and now you have like this high level template that you can use that is in Angular, Blazor, or React. And then you have your module pieces that you can copy straight out of the website and then paste into your project and modify to your needs. And then you have all of our UI components on top of that to do the really small stuff like the grids and the charts and all of those little detailed
Very
things.
nice. Very nice.
This is really awesome stuff. It all integrates with the Progress design system. So you've got SAS theme or CSS variable theme settings that you can use. So you've got all of your color palettes and all of your CSS utilities and built-in themes and all of that stuff as well.
Very nice.
It's super powerful, super productive. And then on top of productivity, we've got MarkLogic, which is another product of Progress. And it's the TLDR of it is it's a document database that is highly secure. So you can think like healthcare, government, that type of user. And we released what is called the MarkLogic Fast Track, which I don't know if I grabbed the right page. Maybe it's under what's new here. MarkLogic. Fast Track. So Fast Track is a set of UI components. I can't find the proper marketing page for it, but you'll have to take my word for it. It's a set of UI components for building out similar dashboards that you might have seen in these UI templates. So say you want to build something like this. It is essentially charts and graphs and grids and things built with Kendo React, which is our UI components, but they are pre-plugged into the MarkLogic data pipeline. So you have data connectors that reach out and can pull in data from MarkLogic and display those in pre-configured Kendo React components. So you could build these things out using, you want to build a dashboard for your MarkLogic application. That's where you want to look, is MarkLogic Fast Track. So it's really nice marrying together of some of our tools from various parts of the business into a solid product. So that's my sell of the week. Sorry for all the shameless plugs, but we had lots of cool stuff that we released, and that was just the tip of the iceberg of it all. Alrighty, we will say goodbye, take care, and we'll catch you next week.